The stale air of the office clung to me, mirroring the weight in my chest. For weeks, maybe months, a gnawing unease had settled over me, a sense that something was off. My wife, Giselle, once as vibrant and warm as the Miami sun, had become distant, her laughter replaced with tight-lipped smiles, her touch perfunctory. We'd been married for 18 years, a lifetime it seemed since our whirlwind romance in college. I'm Quentin, 46, an IT specialist, and I thought I knew Giselle better than I knew myself. It started subtly. Late nights at the office, she'd claim, working on a new marketing campaign. Giselle was a marketing director for a luxury real estate firm, a demanding job, but she'd always made time for us, for our two kids, Chloe and Finn. Now dinners were rushed, conversations stilted, and her phone, always within arm's reach, buzzed with incessant notifications. I tried to brush it off, attributing it to stress, to the pressures of her career, but the knot in my stomach tightened with each passing day. One evening, I decided to surprise her at work. I brought her favorite coffee, a vanilla latte with extra foam and a small bouquet of sunflowers, her favorite flower. The receptionist, a young woman named Bethany, greeted me with a hesitant smile. "Giselle isn't here, Quentin," she said, her eyes darting nervously. "She had a meeting off-site, off-site." I repeated, confused. "She didn't mention anything about a meeting." Bethany stammered. "It was sudden. She left about an hour ago." My unease intensified. I thanked Bethany and left, the coffee and sunflowers feeling heavy in my hands. I called Giselle, but she didn't answer. I texted her, asking where she was, but received no reply. I drove home, my mind racing, trying to rationalize her absence, to find a logical explanation. But the seed of doubt had been planted, and it was taking root. That night Giselle came home late, her cheeks flushed, her hair slightly disheveled. "Long day," she said, avoiding my gaze. "The meeting ran over. Where was it?" I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral. She hesitated. "Downtown, at the new development site." "I went to your office this evening," I said, my heart pounding in my chest. "Bethany said you were at a meeting." Giselle's eyes widened, a flicker of panic crossing her face. I had to meet a client afterward," she stammered. "For drinks, to close the deal." The lie hung in the air between us, thick and suffocating. I knew she was lying. I could see it in her eyes, in the way she avoided my gaze, in the tremor in her voice. But I didn't want to believe it. I wanted to cling to the illusion of our perfect life, to the woman I thought I knew and loved. "I'm going to bed," I said, turning away, unable to face her. "I'm exhausted." I lay awake for hours, staring at the ceiling, the weight of my suspicions crushing me. I replayed our conversations, her recent behavior, the subtle shifts in our relationship, and the pieces began to fall into place, forming a picture I didn't want to see. The next day, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being deceived. I decided to do something I never thought I would do. I checked Giselle's phone. I knew it was a violation of her privacy, a betrayal of trust, but I needed to know the truth. I waited until she was in the shower, her phone lying on the nightstand, and I quickly unlocked it using her fingerprint. My hands trembled as I scrolled through her messages, my heart pounding in my chest, and then I saw it. A message from a number I didn't recognize, a message that sent a shard of ice through my veins. "Can't wait to see you tonight." Thinking about last night below it, a string of messages filled with intimate details, suggestive emojis, and promises of future encounters. My world tilted on its axis. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut, the air knocked out of me. I scrolled further, my eyes scanning the messages, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. The messages were from someone named Lysander, a name that was vaguely familiar. I clicked on his contact information and his picture popped up, a handsome, well-dressed man with a confident smile. And then it hit me. Lysander was Giselle's boss, the CEO of the real estate firm she worked for. The man I'd met at company parties, the man I'd shaken hands with, the man who had been sleeping with my wife. Rage, hot and blinding, surged through me, followed by a wave of nausea and despair. I wanted to scream, to break things, to confront Giselle, but I couldn't. I felt paralyzed, trapped in a nightmare I couldn't escape. I closed the phone, my hands shaking, and stumbled out of the room, gasping for air. I spent the rest of the day in a daze, unable to focus on anything. I called in sick to work, claiming a migraine, but the pain in my head was nothing compared to the ache in my heart. I replayed the messages in my mind, each word a dagger twisting in my soul. How could she do this to me? How could she betray our marriage, our family, our life together? That evening, Giselle came home, her expression carefully neutral. "How are you feeling?" she asked, her voice devoid of warmth. "Terrible," I said, my voice flat. "I know about Lysander." Her face paled, her eyes widening in shock. What are you talking about?" she stammered. I pulled out her phone and tossed it on the table. "These messages, Lysander, your boss, it's all there." She picked up the phone, her hands trembling, and stared at the screen, her face a mask of guilt and shame. "Quentin," she began, her voice cracking. "Don't," I said, cutting her off. "Don't even try to lie. I saw the messages. I know everything." Tears streamed down her face, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no compassion, only a cold, hollow emptiness. "It just happened," she sobbed. "It wasn't supposed to just happen," I repeated, my voice rising. "You slept with my boss, you betrayed our marriage. How could you say it just happened?" "I was lonely," she cried. "You were always working. You weren't paying attention to me." "Lonely," I scoffed. "I was working to provide for our family, to give you and the kids everything you wanted. And this is how you repay me?" "I made a mistake," she pleaded. "Please, Quentin, forgive me. I still love you. Love me," I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. You wouldn't have destroyed our family." I stood up, my hands shaking, my body trembling with rage and grief. "Get out," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "Get out of my house, Quentin, please," she begged, reaching for me. I recoiled from her touch, disgusted. "I don't want to see you," I said, my voice rising again. "I don't want to hear you, just get out." She stood there for a moment, her face a mask of despair, and then she turned and walked out the door, leaving me alone in the ruins of our shattered life. The days that followed were a blur of lawyers, divorce papers, and tearful conversations with our children. Chloe, our 16-year-old daughter, was furious at Giselle, refusing to speak to her. Finn, our 12-year-old son, was confused and heartbroken, unable to understand why his parents were splitting up. I tried to be strong for them, to shield them from the worst of it, but I was crumbling inside. Giselle moved out, taking with her a few suitcases of clothes and a lifetime of memories. The house felt empty without her, devoid of her laughter, her presence, her touch. I wandered through the rooms, haunted by ghosts of our past, by the echoes of our love. I knew I had to move on, to rebuild my life, but I didn't know how. The pain was too raw, the betrayal too deep. I felt like a part of me had died, a part of me that I would never get back. One evening, a few weeks after Giselle had left, I received a phone call from an unknown number. I hesitated before answering, my heart pounding in my chest. "Hello," I said, my voice trembling. "Is this Quentin?" A woman's voice asked. "Yes," I replied. "This is Anya, Lysander's wife," she said, her voice cold and hard. My blood ran cold. "What do you want?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "I know about Giselle," she said. "I know about the affair. How did you find out?" I asked, my mind racing. "I have my ways," she said, her voice cryptic. "Lysander has a history of this. He's done it before." I don't know what to say," I stammered. "I'm not calling for your sympathy," she said. "I'm calling to offer you an opportunity." "An opportunity," I repeated, confused. "Lysander is a powerful man," she said. "He's ruthless and manipulative. He's destroyed lives. I want to take him down, and you want my help?" I asked. "Yes," she said. "You have a motive. You have a reason to want to see him suffer. Together we can expose him. We can ruin him." I hesitated. The idea of teaming up with Lysander's wife, of plotting revenge against him, was tempting but also unsettling. I wasn't a vengeful person. I didn't want to spend my life consumed by hatred and bitterness. "I don't know," I said. "I'm not sure I can do that." "Think about it," she said. "Think about what he's done to you, to your family. Think about what he's done to me. He deserves to pay." She hung up the phone, leaving me to grapple with her offer. I spent the next few days wrestling with my conscience, weighing the pros and cons of seeking revenge. On the one hand, I wanted to move on, to heal, to rebuild my life. On the other hand, I couldn't shake the feeling that Lysander had gotten away with something, that he deserved to be punished for his actions. Finally, I made a decision. I called Anya back. "I'm in," I said, my voice firm. "I'll help you take him down." Anya and I met in secret, plotting our strategy. She had been gathering evidence of Lysander's misconduct for years, documenting his affairs, his financial irregularities, his abuse of power. Together, we pieced together a comprehensive case against him, a case that would expose him for the fraud and predator he truly was. We leaked the information to the press, providing them with documents, emails, and eyewitness accounts. The story exploded, dominating the headlines for weeks. Lysander's reputation was shattered, his career ruined, his personal life exposed for all the world to see. He was forced to resign from his position as CEO, his company stock plummeted, and he faced multiple lawsuits and investigations. His marriage to Anya ended in a bitter and acrimonious divorce. I watched it all unfold with a sense of grim satisfaction. Lysander had paid the price for his actions. He had lost everything. But even as I savored his downfall, I realized that revenge wasn't the answer. It didn't bring Giselle back. It didn't heal my broken heart. It didn't erase the pain of betrayal. I still had to pick up the pieces of my shattered life, to rebuild my trust, to find a way to move on. It was a long and difficult process, filled with setbacks and challenges, but I was determined to make it through. I focused on my children, spending more time with them, reconnecting with them, reminding them that they were loved and cherished. I threw myself into my work, finding solace and satisfaction in my accomplishments. I started seeing a therapist who helped me process my emotions, to understand my pain, and to develop coping mechanisms. I learned to forgive Giselle, not for her sake, but for my own. I realized that holding onto anger and resentment was only hurting me. Years passed. I dated a few women, but nothing serious. I was still wary of commitment, still afraid of being hurt again. One day, I received a letter from Giselle. It was the first time I'd heard from her since the divorce. I hesitated before opening it, my heart pounding in my chest. Inside, she apologized for her actions, for the pain she had caused me and our children. She admitted that she had made a terrible mistake, that she regretted it every day. She said that she had been selfish and foolish, that she had taken our marriage for granted. She didn't ask for my forgiveness, but she hoped that one day I would be able to understand. She said that she was now working as a volunteer at a local charity, helping underprivileged children. She had found a new sense of purpose in her life, a way to give back to the community. I read the letter with a mixture of emotions, sadness, anger, and a flicker of something else. Not forgiveness, not exactly, but perhaps a glimmer of understanding. I never replied to her letter. I didn't know what to say, but I realized that I had finally moved on. I had healed. I had found a way to rebuild my life, to find happiness again. The betrayal had left a scar, a permanent reminder of the pain I had endured, but it had also made me stronger, more resilient, more compassionate. I had survived the storm. I had emerged from the darkness. And I was finally ready to embrace the future, whatever it may hold. I'm Quentin, and this is my story of betrayal, revenge, and ultimately, forgiveness. It's a story about the resilience of the human spirit, about the power of love, and about the importance of moving on, even when it seems impossible.